Picture this. The cameras flash, the crowd just entirely freezes, and just like that, Hollywood has a brand new obsession.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it always happens in a split second.
Right. It's a dark, cool night in Southern California. We're talking March 4th, 2026. The flashing red and blue lights of a, California Highway Patrol cruiser are reflecting off the windshield of a car that's just pulled over on the shoulder of US 101 in Ventura County.
Which honestly sounds like the start of a movie.
It really does. You've got all the classic elements of a late-night traffic stop, but then the driver's window rolls down and the face looking back at the officers as well. It's one of the most famous faces on the planet.
It's Britney Spears.
Exactly. And what starts as this seemingly standard, though obviously high-profile DUI investigation, it just spirals completely. The pop star makes this really offhand, highly emotional comment to the police, and suddenly this fatal 50-year-old tragedy is resurrected.
And of course, the internet just catches fire immediately.
Totally. Welcome to Starscope Report. Join Jordan and Jamie as they uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandal.
From red carpet surprises to, huge social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And today's deep dive is based on a massive headline. We are unpacking the viral story, Britney Spears' DUI arrest, every wild detail from the police report.
And we are going to look at the raw facts of that night. But, more importantly, it's a perfect case study.
Right, for how information moves today. We're taking this viral moment, along with this fascinating academic paper from the Missouri Law Review, to really look at the mechanics of modern truth.
Yeah, like how everyday internet sleuths have sort of mutated into these rogue fact-checkers.
And why the Supreme Court is actually questioning the very laws that protect celebrities from fake news. If you're loving these Hollywood twists, make sure you're subscribed because we have got even crazier stories ahead.
We really do. But let's start with the facts of that night, straight from the raw police report.
Right. So it's around 9:30 p.m. The Highway Patrol spots a vehicle drifting between lanes and speeding on the 101. So they hit the lights.
And according to the report, it actually took her 15 seconds to pull over.
Which is, that's a long time when the cops are behind you.
It really is. And from the moment the officers approached the vehicle, the interaction, which was all captured on Dashcam, is just highly erratic.
Right, because they note the distinct odor of alcohol, right?
Yeah, exactly. But when they ask her about it, she claims her intoxication level is a 0 out of 10.
A 0 out of 10.
Right. And she states she had consumed exactly one mimosa, and that was like 6 hours prior.
Which, is a pretty standard defense script when you get pulled over.
Yeah.
But the specific details of this stop, they take a really sharp left turn into the surreal.
Oh, completely.
Because she refuses to exit the vehicle to perform the field sobriety tests. She claims the highway traffic is unsafe, and she brings up past instances of being pranked and harassed.
Which, to be fair, given her history with the paparazzi, you can sort of understand the paranoia.
Sure, absolutely. So the officers, they try to de-escalate. They offer a compromise, like suggesting they just drive her around the corner to a safer, quieter spot.
But she refuses that too.
Right. And instead, she counteroffers by literally inviting the highway patrol officers to her house.
Yes. The footage captures her saying, I'll make you food or lasagna, whatever you want. I have a pool.
Lasagna. I read that in the source material, and I actually had to pause.
Yeah.
It's like reading a script for an absurdist play, but there are real, severe legal stakes hanging in the balance.
It's totally jarring. You have this cold, sterile police report detailing someone offering to bake lasagna for the cops arresting them.
Right. And the reporting officer noted, quote, drastic mood swings.
Yeah, and at certain points, she apparently began speaking in a British accent.
Wow.
And then later, after she was detained in the back of the patrol car, she just began crying, accusing the officers being mean to her and, lying.
See, I'm struggling to reconcile her behavior with the physical evidence, though, because behavior can be highly subjective, right?
Absolutely.
But the law requires actual metrics. So about an hour after the stop, she takes 2 breathalyzer exams. She blows a 0.05% and a 0.06%.
Both of which are below California's legal limit, which is 0.08%.
Right. So legally speaking, how does the state justify a DUI arrest when the main metric is literally under the legal threshold?
Well, because alcohol was really only one variable in the equation here.
Oh, right.
Yeah. She admitted to the officers that she had taken 200 milligrams of Lamictal, which is a medication used to treat bipolar disorder.
Okay.
And crucially, she admitted to taking Adderall, which she said was just to stay elevated.
Wow. Elevated. And a search of the car corroborated this, right?
Yeah, it did. Police found a wine glass in the front cup holder and a bottle of Adderall that wasn't actually prescribed to her.
So the officers are looking at this whole cocktail of substances.
Exactly, which triggers a very specific protocol. They brought in a drug recognition expert, or DRE.
Right, which isn't just a regular cop.
No, not at all. A DRE conducts this systematic, standardized evaluation. They check pupil dilation in different lighting, they take pulse rates, they examine muscle tone.
So it's basically a full physiological audit.
Exactly. It's to determine if a specific category of drugs is impairing the driver. And that evaluation concluded she was under the influence of a central nervous system stimulant.
I see.
So it was the combination of the stimulant, the lamictal, and the, sublegal limit alcohol that created the impairment.
Okay, that explains the legal resolution then. Because on May 4th, she accepted a plea deal. They reduced the DUI to a wet reckless charge.
Right.
And for you listening, if you're unfamiliar, a wet reckless is essentially a reckless driving charge, but with a specific notation that alcohol or drugs were involved.
Yeah, it carries lighter immediate penalties than a standard DUI.
But it acts as a prior DUI if the person ever reoffends. So she got 12 months of summary probation, 1 day in jail, which was credited to the night of the arrest, a $571 fine, a mandatory 3-month DUI program, and required visits to a psychologist and psychiatrist.
So the legal system basically processed the data, applied a standard resolution, and closed the file.
Right. But the court of public opinion was just getting started, and that's not even the wildest part of the story.
No, it's really not.
Because during that chaotic Dashcam recording, right in the middle of the offers of lasagna and the British accent, she said something that just threw absolute gasoline on the pop culture news cycle.
It was explosive.
When the officer warned her about the dangers of driving under the influence, she fired back with this exact quote. She said, "Yes, sir, I know. My mom actually killed a man on a bike, but I never did that before. And nothing happened to her. Why didn't they arrest her? How come my mom got away with everything?"
I mean, it is just a staggering accusation to hurl at law enforcement.
Insane. And the media immediately seized on it, obviously. The morning headlines framed the whole interaction as this pop star casually confessing a dark, hidden family murder just to, talk her way out of a traffic ticket.
But we need to ground this in the actual historical context.
Right. What is the actual 50-year-old event she was talking about?
Well, in 1975, in Kentwood, Louisiana, Lynne Spears, who was Britney's mother, she was rushing her injured brother to the hospital.
Okay.
And while driving, she struck and killed a 12-year-old boy named Anthony Winters, who was riding his bike.
Oh, wow. That's awful.
It's incredibly tragic, and no criminal charges were ever filed.
But crucially, this was not some hidden family secret.
No, not at all. Lynne Spears wrote about it extensively in her 2008 memoir, Through the Storm.
Right.
She described it as a horrific, unavoidable accident. According to her memoir, the roads were slick with rain, she came around a curve, an oncoming car forced her to the side, and her brakes just simply couldn't stop the car in time.
Just a terrible, terrible situation.
Yeah, and in 2019, the victim's mother actually spoke to the press. She noted that Lynne never personally apologized to her, but she extended this incredible grace. She stated it was a terrible situation, but it was an accident, and accidents can happen to anyone.
Wow. So we have this tragic accident from 5 decades ago, already recounted in a published memoir, accepted by the victim's family, and it is suddenly weaponized during a midnight traffic stop in 2026.
Exactly. And this is where the modern ecosystem of information consumption just entirely takes over.
Right, because audiences today, you don't just read a sensational headline and move on.
No, they investigate. We've seen this profound shift from passive media consumption to active, crowdsourced digital forensics.
It's wild. I was looking through the source material at how this played out on the Reddit forum, our FOMOI.
Oh yeah, the sleuths.
Right. You have thousands of people debating the clickbait headlines. But then you have these users taking verification into their own hands. There's this one user in particular operating under the handle Mecca Jesus, who effectively acts as a forensic meteorologist.
It's amazing. This user didn't just offer skepticism. They actually accessed historical weather data for July 18, 1975 for Kentwood, Louisiana.
They pulled the actual meteorological archives.
Yes, and they found that there was 0 precipitation recorded within 15 miles of the town that day.
Wow. Which directly contradicts the memoir's narrative that the roads were slick with rain.
Exactly, and they didn't stop there either.
Right. They pulled historical archives from the Kentwood News, which reported the crash happened at 5:45 p.m.
And in July, in Louisiana, The sun doesn't set until like 8:00 p.m.
So the crash occurred in broad daylight. Again, contradicting the imagery of a dark, rainy night.
And this user also highlighted that the 12-year-old victim was black, which introduced this whole layer of racial dynamics regarding why the police in the 1970s American South might not have pursued charges against a white driver.
It's intense, and this specific Reddit thread is not an isolated anomaly. It represents a massive systemic shift in how society establishes truth.
Oh, without a doubt.
Which brings us to the core of this deep dive. We're looking at the Missouri Law Review paper by Jasmine E. McNeely. It's titled, All the Rumors Are True: Verification, Actual Malice, and Celebrity Gossip.
It's a fascinating read.
It really is. McNeely argues that spaces we traditionally dismiss as just lawless, toxic gossip hubs, like Reddit or YouTube drama channels, they've actually developed incredibly strict, culturally enforced rules of verification.
Right. And the holy grail of this new verification culture is the concept of receipts.
Yes, receipts.
The paper actually traces the origin of the term to a legendary 2002 Diane Sawyer interview with Whitney Houston.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. Sawyer pressed Houston on rumors of massive drug purchases, and Houston demanded, I want to see the receipts from the drug dealer. I want to see the receipts.
And it started as this pop culture catchphrase, but it has evolved into this rigid journalistic standard for the internet.
Completely. If you make a claim online today, the immediate chorus is show the receipts. Audiences demand digital proof. Texts, audio recordings, timestamps, meteorological data.
Like the weather report from 1975.
Exactly. If we think about Reddit, it operates almost like an open source software project. You have thousands of independent users constantly auditing the code for bugs.
Right, except here, the code is a celebrity's alibi.
Yes. And this crowdsourced auditing mechanism matters deeply. The paper cites Pew Research Center data showing that 53% of Americans get their news from social media.
Over half.
Yeah. So as traditional legacy press has shrunk, those traditional layers of fact-checking, the copy editors, the legal departments, they've vanished.
Right. Nature abhors a vacuum.
Or the audience has stepped in to fill the void.
Let me push back on this premise, though. I mean, I understand the open source auditing metaphor for Reddit, but what about the massive YouTube drama channels?
Okay.
Because we see creators manufacture outrage constantly. Fake news and clickbait are billion-dollar industries. So why does this paper claim these creators care about verification when lying is so incredibly profitable?
Well, it is a critical tension. And the paper acknowledges that YouTube channels focus on celebrity drama, especially ones with 1 million subscribers. They can pull in up to $55,000 a month.
Which is insane money.
It is. But here's the paradox of the gossip economy. To keep that monetization flowing, the creator relies entirely on parasocial trust.
Meaning the loyalty of their specific audience.
Precisely. Algorithm-driven fake news might prey on transient, one-time clicks from strangers. But a dedicated drama channel relies on a returning community.
Right, they need those subscribers to come back.
Exactly. So if a creator posts a massive scoop, and the commenters, those amateur sleuths we talked about, if they quickly realize there are no receipts or the receipts are fabricated, the audience turns on them.
Oh, totally. They get canceled by their own fans.
Yeah, and competing channels will instantly produce videos debunking them, just steal their audience.
Yeah.
So the economic incentive actually forces these creators to investigate deeply before publishing.
So the invisible hand of the market enforces the fact-checking standard.
Exactly. The audience is the editor.
That makes a lot of sense. Hey, stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next, because we are getting into the legal consequences. Because what happens when the amateur sleuths and the drama channels get it completely wrong?
Because they definitely do.
Right. And that brings us to a massive legal collision detailed in the law review. Cardi B versus Tasha K.
Oh, yeah. The case is Almanzar v. KB, and it is a watershed moment for internet creators and the law.
Definitely. So Tasha K is a highly successful YouTube vlogger.
Yes, she has over 1 million subscribers. She calls her winos. And she posted a series of videos making incredibly damaging claims about the rapper Cardi B.
Like what kind of claims?
She alleged she was a prostitute, that she used cocaine, and that she had herpes.
Oh my God. I mean, claims that are designed to completely obliterate a public reputation.
Absolutely. So Cardi B sued for defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress, and a jury actually awarded her a $4 million verdict.
$4 million. That is massive. It's huge. But Tasha K appealed the decision, and her defense strikes at the very heart of how our legal system attempts to govern the internet.
Right, because during the trial, she admitted her channel wasn't traditional journalism. She
Ah,
said her primary goal was engagement and monetization.
right. But on appeal, she argued that she did utilize her own verification methods.
Okay, how?
Well, she claimed she looked at old interviews, public statements, and social media posts before publishing.
She essentially argued to the court, I looked for the receipts.
Exactly. And her argument was that even if she wanted clicks, and even if she personally disliked Cardi B, that didn't prove she acted with actual malice.
Okay, actual malice. That is the crucial legal mechanism we need to unpack here. It is the legal standard for defamation involving a public figure.
Yes, it is.
So let's break down how this mechanism works. Why is the standard different for a celebrity like Cardi B or Britney Spears than it is for an everyday person?
So it goes back to the 1960s, primarily established in a case called New York Times v. Sullivan.
If an everyday private citizen is defamed, they usually just have to prove the published information was false and caused them harm.
Which seems straightforward.
Right. But if you are a public figure, like a politician, a pop star, an influencer, proving the information is false is not enough.
Really?
Yeah, you have to prove the publisher knew it was false before they hit publish, or that they acted with a reckless disregard for the truth.
Meaning they entertained serious doubts about the truth of their claims, but they published it anyway.
Exactly.
But why did the Supreme Court set the bar so incredibly high for public figures?
Well, to understand the mechanism, you really have to look at the historical context of 1964. During the Civil Rights Movement, Southern politicians were filing massive defamation lawsuits against Northern newspapers covering the protests.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And the Supreme Court realized that if newspapers were terrified of being bankrupted over minor factual errors, they would simply stop reporting on powerful people entirely.
That makes total sense.
So the court created the actual malice standard to protect, quote, uninhibited, robust, and wide-open debate. They wanted to shield journalists.
So we took a legal shield built to protect civil rights journalists in the 1960s, and we've inadvertently handed it to YouTube gossip vloggers in 2026.
Yes. And that profound disconnect is exactly why Supreme Court Justices Clarence Thomas and Neil Gorsuch are actively questioning whether the actual malice standard should even survive.
Right, because they look at the current media landscape and argue the standard is fundamentally broken.
Completely broken.
I was reading Justice Gorsuch's dissent on this issue, and the logic he lays out is just fascinating. He argues that in 1964, the barrier to publishing was enormous. You needed printing presses, legal departments, editors.
Right.
So the legal system assumed traditional media was careful, but today, anyone with a smartphone can broadcast a lie to millions globally in an instant.
And Gorsuch argues that the actual malice standard now actively incentivizes ignorance.
Wait, how does it do that?
Well, think about the legal mechanism. If you have to prove a YouTuber knew they were lying or recklessly ignored obvious signs their source was lying, how do you prove what's in their head?
It's almost impossible.
Right. If a YouTube creator hires an investigator, finds out their source is lying, but posts the video anyway, they meet the actual malice standard and they lose the lawsuit.
Okay. But if that same creator just posts the rumor blindly without bothering to check a single fact.
They won't because they didn't know it was false. They were just ignorant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Gorsuch is pointing out that under the current law, it is actually the optimal legal strategy to be willfully ignorant of the truth. The less you investigate, the safer you are from a defamation lawsuit.
That is an incredible contradiction, because the legal system is essentially telling content creators don't look too closely or you're liable.
Right.
But the audience, who is driven by this culture of receipts, is telling creators, if you don't look closely, we will unsubscribe and ruin your business.
It's a huge clash. The law incentivizes ignorance, but the internet gossip economy demands verification.
The law is really struggling to keep pace with how society currently establishes truth. We are operating with a 20th century legal framework in a 21st century information ecosystem.
We really are.
It is just wild to zoom out and see how every piece of this deep dive connects.
It really is.
I mean, we started with a flashing police cruiser on a dark California highway. We examined a chaotic midnight traffic stop involving Lamictal, Adderall, lasagna, and a breathalyzer.
And that one incident, resurrected a tragic 50-year-old car accident.
Which immediately triggered an asynchronous army of internet sleuths on Reddit to start pulling historical weather data from 1975.
And all of that perfectly illustrates the exact tension the Supreme Court is currently debating.
Right, as they look at a $4 million defamation verdict involving a YouTube gossip channel.
It just reveals that celebrity gossip isn't just mindless noise anymore. It is a highly complex ecosystem of crowdsourced truth, digital verification, and high-stakes legal liability.
Imagine you are on a jury today, trying to apply these laws. You're looking at a YouTuber who admits they wanted engagement and monetization, but claims they did their own amateur internet research.
Right.
Do you apply a standard built for the New York Times in 1964? We want to leave you with a final, provocative thought to mull over.
Yeah, think about this. The entire framework of defamation law was built on a very clear boundary.
Right. There are private citizens who are protected from having their lives exposed, and there are public figures who voluntarily step into the spotlight and must endure the scrutiny.
But in an age where anyone with a smartphone can become a viral spectacle literally overnight,
Yeah.
and where thousands of amateur sleuths have the tools to pull meteorological reports from 50 years ago just to audit your family history, are those boundaries completely erased?
If you record a video that accidentally goes viral tomorrow, does the law suddenly consider you a public figure? Are you now expected to endure the internet's relentless, crowdsourced hunt for your receipts?
It is definitely something to keep in mind the next time you see a sensational headline trending online.
Absolutely. You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining. Just remember, there is always a deeper mechanism at work behind the flashing lights.